So welcome to the Superhero Chronicles, and we are on the specific series of the DNA origin stories. So this series we specifically created to add just more value on to what we've already been doing, and we would just like to explain a bit more in-depth concepts, a bit behind the scenes, and also never before seen footage, if you can put it like that. And today we have the privilege to have our founder, John Nell, on with us on our first origin story. We'll gradually introduce the rest of the team, get some rare gems and very cool insights, but more of that later on. We just recently released a new DNA superhero challenge. If you guys wanted to go and have a look at it, all the links are in the description below, and be sure to go check it out. We've really upgraded everything, up the ante, and there is loads of awesome content in this. John, welcome. How are you? How's things?
Man, how's it, Andre?
Yes, so very excited to interview John today, and I want to kick off this origin story. Where did it all begin for you, John? Where did the whole DNA concept begin? What happened in your life to really, I know, take a career shift or in a new direction, and to end up with the whole DNA story?
Yeah, with the DNA vibe. Well, Andre, it was born out of frustration. It was really born out of a place. You know, we all have a story in our lives. I can still remember it like yesterday. I was lost, stuck, frustrated, asking myself a lot of questions concerning myself and what I should do. And I was in a full-time work, and I was in a very respectable job, um, earning a very good salary, etc. But to me, there was something on the inside. I mean, I was unfulfilled. I was really at a place that a point of no return in my life. And as I was looking at this, um, I felt confused and ignorant concerning what I should do. And uh, one thing that was evident in my life was the ABCDEs. Now, listen, I was complaining and I was moaning and you know it's the ABCDEs, and then I threw in a couple of F's in there as well. And
So
I,
for guys watching this on the for the first time though, John, what is the ABCDE specifically for people that haven't done the whole superhero journey?
well, the ABCDEs is the language of losers. Now, losers is a language. It's a loser language. Loser is not a person, except if a person goes down in your consciousness to the level of a villain. That's the real problem. But loser is a language, and loser language only have 5 letters in the language. I mean, we have 26 letters that we use to compile words and
Yeah.
create words as containers that create pictures in your mind. But losers only have five letters, the A, B, C, D, E. And it's easy to remember. You can write it down if you want to, but A is for accuse. It's just accuse it's always that person's fault and that person's fault. B is for blame, and that's just when you step it up and you start blaming your environment and your DNA and your great grandmother, and because you come from this family of Fantoners, because the Fantoners is always cross, and you know,
There's
people make
Afrikaans word for that cross that
this
rhymes with van Tonner.
Fantoner. You know, the C is complaining. It's just complaining the whole day. It's just negative ranting and always. And then D is for living in denial, not facing the brutal facts of your life, not willing to confront the facts. And E is for making excuses. Now, I was really good at that. And and you know what happens when you do the ABCDE? You actually become a victim. You become a
Yeah.
victim of the language. So that's where I was stuck. I was looking for so many things. I was stuck in the career junction at a certain junction, doing something that I wanted to help people, but I was forced into a mold that frustrated me. I couldn't fit into the mold. I had to change who I was to fit into a mold that other people wanted to put upon me. And I just couldn't do it. I didn't want to sell my soul for a salary check.
Yes.
And as I engage in this, I said to my wife, you know what? I think I'm going to write a book. And she said, "What's the book about?" I said, "I felt the voice spoke to me. You know, I said, I'm sure the voice spoke to me that I should write a book upon gift discovery and potential extraction and character alignment." And I thought, wow, these are crazy
Wow.
words. And then I just started putting my thoughts down on paper, and I first started designing the whole thing because I come from a design background. So I was creating a comic. My wife came past in 3 weeks' time and said, "You just drew pictures." I said, "These are the superhero dudes, and they look like the little Teletubbies then." Um, they look like Teletubbies in the book. I mean, it's these little,
As long as they don't sound like Teletubbies, then everything I think would be fine. Yeah.
little, little men and like jelly baby type of vibe. But, but really, I was more into because I see pictures, and as I was seeing pictures, I was doing a lot of research. And then I really went into a crazy fanatic just research and development. I mean, I spent some days 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day, just on a consistent basis, nonstop. I was nonstop writing, researching, and as I delved into this, I started finding out things about myself which I
Mm.
never knew. Things I never knew. I've seen the evidence of it sometimes. I've seen glimpses. I've walked in certain glimpses, but I realized that within my gift, there were some character struggles that I had to deal with. And as I was writing this book, I had to rewrite it. When I finished the first time, I rewrote it. And then I rewrote it. And I ended up with over 700, 800 pages.
Wow.
Then I only published 20%, but I told my wife it's going to take me 5 months, 6 months. And it took 5 years. And I would have probably been still busy if I never published. And I just want to give you a tip. If you want to write a book, you've got to set a publish date. You have to set a publish date. Otherwise, you will never go into
Oh,
publication.
that's awesome.
You will never. And so I'm busy now with another one that will be released now within the next 2, 3 weeks. But I've set a clear date and I publish at that date, even if there's faults, even if there's because it's a research and development. It's an ongoing process. And yeah, so what happened is the book actually rewrote me. It changed my paradigm. It changed my way of thinking that my external environment could not contain me anymore. And so what just happened is I was granted opportunity by people who was asking me to come speak about this at various places. Started with churches, and then some private conferences, and those private
Oh,
conferences
that's
spilled
awesome.
over in the business world. And as it spilled over into the business world, it went into seminars. It went into executive coaching, and I spent a couple of years just traveling around and doing seminars. And yeah, I mean, it even opened up doors for me to go stand in front of more than 30 ambassadors of the world. And it really it was just so nice. I was just training on this intellectual property that I've developed, and it was just great until we got to a place where well, I just got to tell this that I was forced one day in a position where I had to make a decision that I'm going to quit my job, my full-time job.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Not
Really.
at all. No, that takes a
Oh,
serious
it,
amount of no ABCDEing.
but what happened is I changed so much on the inside that not, I could not sell my soul anymore
Yeah.
doing something that is dividing me, that is making me unstable. To me, it was just a job that I was doing. It doesn't mean that it was a bad job. It was a fantastic job, but it wasn't aligned. It was part of my training process. It was part of the seasonal purpose that I had to go through so that I can learn wisdom. And no job is there just by coincidence. It's part of an unfolding plan as you gain more skill and insight. And every every job that comes your way is there to refine and hone your gift and your character and the different things. And I'll still explain what the Hexacron is. But yeah, that's my origin story. And then uh, I got involved in the corporate world with various organizations. And then, yeah, in 2018, I had a discussion with Justin van Vuren, and I said to him, you know what, I really want to open up the DNA Superhero Academy. And you will meet Justin. And yeah, then we started the DNA Superhero Academy. It has evolved up to where we are now. And that's basically the origin. But
Just
comes through pain.
yeah,
And
just from strength to strength.
yes, it comes through.
Diligence.
Well, Andre, any person is defined by the origin story. And the origin story is normally three things. These three things is trauma. You know, trauma shapes us. Trauma, we all have trauma. And what happens is when you have the ABCDEs, you are always the victim in the story. And your trauma is always, this person have done this to me, and my mom have forsaken me, and I've been through a divorce, and this person have done this to me, and that person, and it's that typical loser language.
Yeah.
Loser language takes you down to the evil of consciousness. And so trauma shapes you. Trauma, I've got my trauma. We all have our trauma, but it's part of our origin story. Trauma shapes your character. It really shapes your character in a big way. Um, but it depends upon you. It's not dependent upon anybody else. It depends
Yes.
upon you. If you will take responsibility for the story. The moment you take responsibility, you become the victor of the story. It doesn't mean that you are at everything is just 100% perfect in your life. It means that you are the victor and you are in control. You don't give away your dominion. You don't give away your control. Um,
Like every good
the
superhero
second thing that's
movie
an
as well. Yeah, with it's a traumatic beginning, or it's Bruce Wayne's father and mother being killed, or Superman losing his
absolute
planet. It's yeah, it's crazy, but yeah.
trauma, trauma shapes a superhero.
But it what
So,
you do with the trauma that shapes the hero. What you do with the trauma.
well, either way. Now, the second thing is what we call chance. And all superhero stories, you can go check
Yeah.
any business book that succeeded. They've put in the hard yards for 3, 4, 5, sometimes 10 years.
Yes.
And then suddenly there's a chance, a meeting, one meeting, a chance. And then people will say, oh, it was lucky. That one chance took 10 years to bring into fruition.
Yes.
And this is what
Or
we don't understand.
the sequence of chances maybe, or just the one chance, but the building of character through trauma to ready you for that one chance to act upon it and then make a success.
Absolutely. It's multiple chances, various chances. They follow in sequence like dominoes.
Yeah.
But it's to make use of those chances. And you can see this with Spider-Man. I mean, Spider-Man got bit by chance. He went to
Yeah.
an exhibition and he got bit by a spider by chance. So you can see this in a lot of superheroes. And then together with the chance, there's destiny. And the next thing is gifting and abilities. Now, destiny is a sense in you that there's a higher purpose for the reason why your trauma, why that happened, why were you born into the family that you were born in. There's a certain sense of destiny. Why are you born in that country? There's a sense of destiny of something that you need to fulfill. You need to fulfill a certain solution. There's a certain problem. And that's what superheroes do. They combat evil.
Yeah.
That's what they do. They combat evil. They are selfless. And then the last thing about a superhero is true knowledge about your giftings and abilities. Um, Understanding what is it that you are endowed with. Now, when we talk about superheroes, we're not talking about X-ray vision and that type of stuff that we're talking about your intrinsic abilities, your motivations, your brilliances, the ability to make music, work in nature, some super skills when you throw in our superhero stuff in that, and a true north compass, and there's a lot of things that we throw in it. But that's what a superhero is. It's shaped by these things. It's part of that origin story. And then the thing that defines a superhero in the origin story is this is the number one thing that defines you is character.
Yes.
Because character is what you are in the dark. It's what you do in the dark when no one is watching. When it's darkness in your mind and darkness all around you, what do you do? When no one sees you, what do you do? Um, And so superheroes rise and fall based upon character. People who live.
It's what makes the difference between a superhero and a supervillain, or just a hero
Absolutely.
and a villain. Yes, yeah.
Absolutely. I can just show you highly gifted leaders. They got fantastic gifts, speaking abilities, very charismatic, political leaders, business leaders, very charismatic, but there's no character. There's highly gifting, and they don't need anything. They don't have to worry about it because the fact is they do what they want to because and their characters become corrupt. Now the problem when your character becomes corrupt, your gift is used to build systems of darkness and to build dark structures that affect other people. Your gift can build slavery systems for other people. So we got to be very, very aware of who we are and the blueprint of our life. And so this is the origin of what we do is that everything is it's about finding that unique, divine, God-given blueprint, unique design. If you just take a look around you, if you're listening to me, look at anything now where you're around you. If I look here and I look, I see a pen. There's a pen. And I see one of our little superheroes here. He's one of our little superheroes. And everything is designed. There's nothing that's not designed.
Yeah.
Take a look at it, even the animal. You've got to take a look even at your biology. It's a blueprint on the deepest design of DNA. There's nothing that's not designed. It's design. If there's a designer, if there's a design, there's a designer.
Yes.
If there's a product, there's a manufacturer. You are not the product of some cosmic soup explosion that couldn't stay on a rock and then it rained and then it became. You're not part of that. If you want to believe that, you need a lot of faith.
Very much.
Everything around you is designed. Nothing just came into fruition. I don't just sit here and suddenly wow, here's a book. Oh my goodness, it's got my name on it. It just, whoa, this doesn't happen. There goes my camera, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just getting but this doesn't happen in real life. Nothing works like that. You have to know that there's a blueprint behind you. There's a unique ability. And once you gain self-knowledge, you activate something, what we call purpose, and then leadership by purpose is activated. Now, there's a big difference between leadership by purpose and leadership by personality. Very big difference because leadership by purpose suddenly takes you to another level. It takes you into actually getting access to your superpowers, your extraordinary abilities. This can be advanced technology or highly developed physical or mental skills or whatever it is that's been given to you. Brilliances, talents, call it what you want. But that's what we do. We developed an academy that's got gift and potential extraction, and we work on a concept called the Hexacron.
Yes. So
So that's
yeah, that's where I definitely want to end up is where you dissect the hexacron for us. But being this the origin stories, I want to tread back a few steps to back to the ABC, and then I'm gonna go to. But where did you where and how did you come up with the ABC? Did you just one day sit and think, okay, ABCDE, that sounds, it's a good acronym for accuse, blame, or is it something that you really put in thought and you said, okay, but this is something, and then if you can sort of give us the get out of jail, but how do you get rid of the ABCDEs? I mean, in the superhero journey, we go through everything, but in a short, let's say movie teaser, 1 minute intro, yeah. So,
all right. So how did I come up with the ABCD? One day I visited a friend of mine in a conference center, and as I was there, it's long before I was even on the speaking circuit in the business world. At that time, I was just on the speaking circuit in the church world. And I stopped over by him, drank a cup of coffee, and there was a speaker there. And the speaker was Robin Banks.
oh yes,
It's way before he became even famous. I'm talking about 15, 20 years back. It was 18 years back. Yeah, 18 years ago. And I remembered him. He was like this charismatic dude. But I mean, such a great vibe. It was also young then. And I remember he gave a message to the people in a very simplistic. And all I remember, I was there for 3 minutes that I listened to it. And he spoke about the ABC. And he said, those are the people who always stuck.
Okay.
They accuse, they blame, and they comment. And so the first time I heard the ABC was from a guy called Robin Banks. And I listened to that and I had an honest review of myself. And I said, you know what? I tend to accuse, I tend to blame, and I complain.
Yep.
I walked out there, but what happened there is I had a glimpse. And this is also what we go into in our training, is that sometimes you are offered a glimpse. A
Yes.
glimpse is when it's revealed to you things that's going to come in your life. You will be in a scenario, you will be in a work environment, and you will have a glimpse of what's coming further in your life. And that activates a certain passion and a desire in your heart. And it's important to see the glimpses. I make clear note of the glimpses that come to my life, because those glimpses are there to serve as a guideline, as I want to say, as like a prophetic guideline that it was shown to you, and it's shown to you from a high place. It's yours, and to get to that place, it takes a bit of a price. But I walked away there, and I totally forgot about that. And when I was lost, stuck, and frustrated, as I sat down writing my book and busy with it, I wrote the book, but the book wrote me.
Yeah.
It came into recollection, and I looked at it and I said, you know what? I do way more than just ABC. What? I said, I would do A, B, C, D. I'm in denial as well. Plus, I make excuses.
Yes.
What I did is, the moment I sat down, for the first time, I said, I'm going to be brutal honest with myself. Brutal. Even to the point that it hurts. If it cuts me to pieces, because I'm not into this whole politically correct vibe. And when I'm saying politically, I'm not talking about, I absolutely hate to be just nice, to be correct. I like truth.
Yes.
Don't tell me about
It's what
this
needed.
for my
What's
life,
needed.
because a lot of I did what was correct, but it wasn't truthful. And so I faced the brutal truth of my life. I wasn't soft on myself. I came with the brutal facts, and I did the ABCDE, and then I saw the F's are also there.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about the F. Sometimes.
Let me tell you, the G was also there, and I've never even shared this. And the G was goalless.
Oh wow.
I was existing. I was earning my salary, and I was just existing. I was just existing, and it's nice. But I was so stuck in a comfort zone, and the H is for I was happy.
Yeah.
And to me, when I said, you know what, that to me is the loser language. And so I just adapted the first 5 letters, because some people get offended if I say the 6 letters there.
Yeah.
That's the facts. Six is the 6 letter, the F letter is a fact. You can just go walk around and you'll hear the frustration out of people's mouths. And that's how I developed it. And then I said, how do I get rid of this? I said, there's only 2 ways that I can get rid of this. One is through principles, and to apply the principle. And the first principle is, I've got to be brutally honest with myself.
Wow.
Brutal facts concerning, what do I accuse? Who do I accuse? Who do I blame? What do I complain about? About what facts of my life am I in denial? And I had to be brutal. I had to face that. And it wasn't nice to face it. And then I said, once you can be brutally honest about it, only then can you do the next thing, and that is to take responsibility. And then I said, well, if I take responsibility, how if there's 5 letters for a loser, then there's 5 letters for a hero.
Yes.
And those it's not just letters, it's actually an equation, and it's LEMRO, LEMRO. But I'm not going to explain what that is. And it's actually LE plus MR equals O. And so I developed the thing there, but that's where loser language. And then I started engaging in extreme sports. And so when it was going tough, really suffered, and did ultra marathons and ultra endurance races, then I was talking to myself and people running next to me, and you do these extreme races, then I'll stop. I'll tell myself, pick up your legs, man. Shut up. Now scream it, shut up, man. Are you back? And that's Afrikaans. I said, keep your mouth. And now talk to myself. I said, you can, and I started killing the narrative of the
Yeah.
ABCDE. As I did endurance races, I just confronted it to a place that it just helped me. I burned a new pattern. Doesn't mean I don't have challenges. Doesn't mean that the ABCDEs do not come from me, because I find myself, it sneaks in. It
Yes.
does. You know who helps me? My kids. They tell me, let's lose a language. Because children understand truth. They really will come with the truth.
Yeah.
And correctness is such a problem. We teach people to be correct. We don't teach them what's true. Truth is absolute.
Yeah.
It's not your,
Not ruined by the world yet.
that Andre, the problem that I see is there's a big difference between truth, being truthful, and just being correct.
Yeah.
There's a massive difference. Truth sets free. Uh, being correct do not set you free.
Yes.
Doesn't set you free. There's a massive big difference. People do a lot of things just because it's correct, but I'm not going to go into
Yeah, it's
the
it's
details of.
that's maybe another origin
Oh,
story. But yeah, but in the gist of it, of the summarize, losers have languages, but winners have formulas. Basically, that's awesome. But I would definitely implore you guys to find out that formula in the superhero challenge. We talk about more about that, but yeah. So the next origin and subtle thing that I picked up on that you spoke about, the difference between a superhero and a supervillain, or basically the difference between your potential being either super or villain. Um, you want to get into that, sort of define the. I know it has a lot to do with character, but your origin story didn't start off with the superhero concept. It started off with the DNA concept. I don't know if you want to get into that and sort of gradually move it into the superhero connection.
so what I started with, as I researched, I wanted to find out. And I said, if I go into the blueprint and design of who I am and who people are, I have to go into the realm of the DNA. If I just take my physical genetics, there's a DNA which is my phenotype and your genetics, and it determines if you've got blonde hair and blue eyes. And these are the physical building blocks, the design, the encoding behind you. And it goes way deeper. And we actually come from a school of thought where we say you are determined by your genetics.
Mm.
And if your genetics tells you this is who you are, that's who you are. And then there were studies done by Dr. Bruce Lipton and various other doctors that have proved, and they came up with a concept, not just a concept, but they've actually proved it, and it's called epigenetics. It's higher than
Oh
genetics.
yes.
It's that your thoughts, the consummation of your thoughts and your belief systems actually shape can alter your genetics. It can alter your DNA.
And physically as
And
well.
as I climb into physically as well,
Yeah.
um, and the proof is there. It's called. I mean, you speak about the biology of belief, and there's various. Dr. Caroline Leaf also
Caroline
goes
Leaf,
into it.
yes.
Very And but there's various people who've done great research on this. And then I looked at it, and I looked at what we call thought currents, and how thought currents work, and how thought currents, and how we get collective thought currents. And I did study of consciousness, and a lot of things to get to my conclusions, and bring it all together within the DNA concept, is that there was a strong correlation between gift and character alignment.
Mm.
The two very interlinked to each other. And then it's got to do with a potential extraction. Gift is by potential extraction. Potential is always in a seed form. And if you extract the potential out of a seed, you actually get a tree. If you extract the
Oh
potential
wow.
out of it, you get fruit. And if you extract the potential out of a fruit, you get multiplication. You get more seed for more trees. You get a forest. And so the gift of everything is within itself. And the gift that you have is within you. And it needs to be extracted. And so I developed a system there, and as I said, I published that, and That's where it started with DNA. I did a massive study on DNA, and so everything that we do with DNA has got to do to get to your unique DNA blueprint for your life. There's a
Yeah.
specific. I always say to people, you are so amazingly designed in your inner world and your outer world. And when I do life training, um, I do a demonstration about the inner and the outer world to show you that you live in two worlds simultaneously. And if you don't know that you are living in two worlds simultaneously, um, you tend to fall into the world, the external world, that is the world of control and conditioning. That's where you are controlled because the external world tells you
Oh yes.
that's where everything.
Mm.
Now I can I can give you a demonstration where you are right now listening to this. I want you to take your shin, lift up your leg, and then I want you to do the following. Um, I want you to kick your shin against the sharp corner. There we go. Just, just use about 30 to 40% force.
That would be nice.
Now suddenly, you know what happened? Your internal world,
Yes.
I engage internal world, because your internal world said, "What? What? What's going on here?" But also your external world. And I do more demonstrations about this, that how people's internal world react to certain information. Your internal world said, "Why on earth does he want me to do that? Is this guy crazy? What is he talking about? Well, this is about superhero stuff. No one wants to kick my shin. Is he stupid?" No, I suddenly engage the internal world. The internal world is where this narrative and stories and symbols and pictures that happens in our internal world that really shapes our view of the external world.
Yes.
And so
Oh,
your DNA, way deeper, it goes into your inner world and it affects your outer world. It really do affect the outer world. And it starts with thought patterns, it starts with characters, and it's summarized within the hexacron. The hexacron, which we'll later show, is actually
yes.
a framework that we use in our design methodology of what we do. And yeah,
I think if it's a good time to sort of gradually generate or migrate into the hexacron, but yeah, the DNA. I know you mentioned in the previous. It's the you also change the acronym for DNA to dynamic natural ability. So what's intrinsically inside you, the potentials and gift extracted, then just brings forth that your unique abilities, your unique potential, and so you change the inside to change the outside, and every situation basically going forward.
it's DNA is dynamic natural ability. Once it's extracted, its ability, but once it's applied, it becomes dynamic natural authority.
Oh wow,
And
okay.
so DNA has got a position. So the first position is position of extraction. Yeah? It's like seeing the blueprint. Uh, I mean, you see an open field. There's a
Okay.
principle of a field is some people walk past it and they don't see the treasure in the field, but in that field there's a treasure. There's gold maybe underneath the soil, or just vision brings a whole development, the property development to that field. And the principle of that field, you have a field where there's value and favor and things that's on the inside of you. And to a lot of people, you look at somebody, you can never determine what's on the inside of them. And I firmly believe part of our purpose is to actually help people unlock and develop what's on the inside of them. It's part of our purpose. It's part of our individual purpose, but our collective purpose as well is to, for eternity, there will be a development um, process
Yeah,
um,
I
for us to
believe that as
develop
well.
according to our God
Mm,
creators and designers.
mm.
But yeah, so DNA then from extraction, the DNA extraction to a blueprint that just resembles a field. There's just like nothing, but you have the blueprint for the building. Then there's DNA, which is dynamic natural authority. Authority is when you apply your gifts, when you start applying your superhero profile in your life systematically. Just
Yeah.
start to walk with it. In the beginning, you just walk, and then suddenly certain things start to manifest. And the authority actually help you ascend in consciousness. It actually raises you to higher levels of awareness. It actually wakes you up. wakes you
Yeah.
up to who you are. So yeah, that's a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so to basically explain and to help people more easily discover their DNA, you came up with the hexacron concept, the design of the hexacron. So if we can get into that, how it all happened, and if you can explain a bit, actually show the hexacron which is inside of us. It's sort of like a Iron Man arc reactor for people in the superhero universe that know about it, but it looks very similar. But yeah, if you could get into that, that would be awesome.
There's a quote from Solomon that he wrote, and he wrote it in Proverbs. I think it's 4:18. I'm quoting it now, yeah. So if I'm wrong, just got to take a look in Proverbs. I can't remember. It's 4:18, 4:21, but it says, "Guard your heart, for out of
Oh
it
yes.
flows the forces of life and death." And so, from your heart, inside of you, there's a wellspring, the forces, the power, the ability that produce life and it produces death.
Mm.
And so I made a huge study of force. And I mean, even if you go into the Star Wars universe, you see the force,
Yeah.
the dark side,
Dark side and the light
Yoda
side.
that's,
Mm.
sorry,
No, the dark side and the light side. Yes. And
dark side and the light side. And you see these forces at play in the Marvel universe, good versus evil. You see it in every storyline. There's dark and light. There's two different consciousness. And what separates consciousness is character.
mm.
And that's what separates villains, super villains, heroes, and superheroes. There's actually four levels.
Yes.
Um, I mean, Yoda says it the best. He says, I mean, in the end, cowards are those who follow the dark side. Or does he
Mm.
say? Yeah, and cowards. I don't know. I can't do it. You have somebody else at, in our team that's very good at that for that. But really, darkness, the force of darkness comes to do things. It's two things. It's one, to corrupt the character of a person. And number two, it's to steal the potential and the impact of your gifts. It either steals it, it keeps it dormant, or the second thing that it does is it uses your gift the moment your character becomes corrupted. The moment you descend in levels of consciousness. And we have levels of consciousness also in the Superhero Academy, where we have from the wilderness wanderers to kingpins and the mindless sheep, and there's all these levels of consciousness, and going down to super villain levels, the dividers and the dark souls and all these, and then we define those levels of consciousness. But what darkness really comes to do, this force, this intrinsic evil that do exist in the world, people don't, sometimes people just want to be correct and don't. That's the difference. When you correct, you justify it. You
Yes.
justify it. But the evil is exposed by truth. Truth sets free. It really, truth is such a needed thing in this generation, and this time that we're living. But the moment darkness takes hold of your gifting and it corrupts your character, it actually has access to your gift. Then it starts using your gifting and your abilities to build structures, systems, and networks um, that is used by darkness. Because darkness cannot operate or do anything in this
It's
world except
mm.
as a vessel, that it uses the abilities and the character of that vessel. And so I basically always say there's two kingdoms at play. There's a kingdom of light and there's a kingdom of darkness.
Mm.
And that's why it's so important that you understand your gifts and potential and your abilities, because whether you like it or not, you will build with it. You actually build your gifts. And that what you build will either have eternal value. There's one of my favorite movies out there,
Yeah,
Gladiator.
Gladiator.
What we do in this life echoes in eternity. And that's very true. What we do is what comes from our gifting, our potential, and that's what we call the hexacron. Because once you understand the hexacron and you start aligning the different components of the hexacron, it produces a force, and that force that we believe is from your heart. It's a force of life. Me personally, I'm not interested in the force of death. I'm not interested.
No.
I'm not interested in the things of darkness. I'm not interested in the things that corrupt character. We all have our character struggles. I've come through multiple character struggles in my life, caused by trauma, caused by various things. My biggest problem is that it's not my problem, but humanity need a serious upgrade in consciousness. Because, as I said, you can see. Let me give you an example. You go on YouTube and you type in bike prank. Then there's these oaks. They take a bike, like a bicycle, and they tie a bungee rope to it, and they put it next to a tree on a downhill.
Yeah.
And when I looked at those pranks, I was flabbergasted how someone, and that was what I did in my studying human behavior. How somebody would just walk past it and there's no compass, there's no direction in their life, so they lost their compass to discern what's right and wrong. And this is what darkness does. It takes the discernment away between what's right and wrong, and it replaces it with correct. When you have a lot of correctness, you get a lot of confusion. So a lot of correctness is just correct. You actually bring confusion and ignorance to the true nature of the problem. And this we see in every realm. We see this in the area of religion. We see this in the area of politics. We see this in the area of media. We see this everywhere. But so this is the goal of darkness, is to bring down consciousness. It's to bring down consciousness. That person would take that bike and then they take off on that bike and then suddenly that punch
we pull back.
They fly. And the pranksters think it's a great joke. But to me, the first one I watched, I thought it was funny, but then my heart was actually sad. And I said, here's a human being created with a unique design, with purpose. And somewhere, this person got lost who they are. They've lost their abilities. They've lost their central defining purpose. They've lost the domains of their life. They've lost so many things. And that's what darkness wants to do.
Yes.
It that person think, that's fine. I can just think. It's correct. For me, it's my truth. My truth is, I need now a bicycle. Here's a bicycle in the tree. It's all correct for me to take this because you owe me, because you have done this to me, you've done that to me. And then it's an entitlement thing, and it's actually get into the ABCDE.
It's basically the ABCDE and the darkness creeping slow. It's a sort of a slow fade creeping in, dissolving all the goodness and turning you into a villain.
Absolutely.
Corrupting.
So immediately into a villain. But what it does is it takes you gradually down levels of consciousness. Now we have this in our well. It takes you gradually to a place where you just become brainwashed, and you become just a wanderer. And the more you succumb to the lie of darkness, the more you engage in the narrative and agree with it, the lower your consciousness goes.
Believing the lie all the more and more until it becomes your truth, like you said.
Absolutely, because it can be your truth, but it's not absolute truth.
Yes.
I can explain to you what the difference between absolute truth. It's a truth that I have this little thing here with a key. It's a truth. I still have this key here now, but I still have the key. It's a truth, but it's broken. Let me show you an absolute truth. And where you are, go take your hand and go rub it as fast as you can on a table or somewhere for 20 seconds. Oh, that's absolute truth. These invisible laws and principles that govern friction. It's an invisible law. And at the moment you violate an invisible truth, an invisible principle, you bear the consequences or the negative effects of that. I just burned myself. No, it's the truth. This is my truth. I can break this. There's no repercussion for this. Nothing. No, there's no repercussion. This is what people do is they don't understand that there are invisible principles and invisible truths. Just this, the principle now of what this gym card, if I let go, there's a law that governs that. It's inevitable. You cannot get past that law. There's a law of electricity that governs everything that we have, heat in a house and stoves and lights. But if we misuse it, you can kill yourself. And this is what people don't understand. When you engage in darkness, darkness takes you away from principle. And it takes you to your truth. It just takes you to what feels right and what's and this and that. You get this whole entitled generation that's just, it's so ridiculous. I sometimes marvel at the consciousness of people, that they don't understand how you can degrade in consciousness. And it's way easier if you have two people, one person standing on top of a chair and another person standing on the floor. It's easier for the person that's standing on the floor to pull the person down from the chair,
Yeah.
and the person on the chair pulling that person up. There's a constant quest of darkness to pull you down, constant to get to your gifts, to get to your abilities, or to make you dormant. And this is part of life. But the thing is that this spills over into your life domains, and we were created, and I firmly believe we were created for so much more, and it's our right to be stewards of what was given to us, and to refine it and to hone it.
Yeah.
It takes time. It takes a bit of time, but it's worth it. So
Yeah.
that's what dark.
Yeah, you mentioned now something about the life domains and darkness accessing it, and is that part of the Hexacron, where what you developed, and how you can sort of counter darkness in these areas, or evict darkness? Can we put it that way? That would be a cool thing.
It is a constant consciousness, that you must be in an awakened state. The first thing is you must be in an awakened state. There's got to come some illumination to your life, a moment of awakening, a moment of, and it's a divine moment, when you become awoke in your consciousness. I always say to
Yes.
people that some people don't realize that they lying down in the dust, lying down in the sand, in the dust, and sleeping. And we call it sleepwalkers in some of our,
Yeah, in
our
the
level. It's just sleepwalking. But the moment you become awake, I remember when I woke up in 2008 and 2009, I really woke up, and then I went through levels of waking up. So I personally don't believe I've woken up. I believe I've gone through certain levels of waking up to a new level and a new
yes,
level
it's a ever increasing, ever growing.
process.
It's part of our life. You have to, if you become dormant, you just go with the flow. You you would just go downstream and end end of going over the waterfall, maybe even. Yeah.
So there's
Only
part
dead fish go with the flow.
with the
Yeah, with the
we
current,
call that the
the
thought.
full thought current. Yes. Yeah. Sorry.
So the absolute thought current. So there's 5 levels as you wake up. You wake up and then you arise. You actually get to your feet. And the moment you get to your feet, you change position, you change elevation, you start seeing better. You're not down in the dust. You actually start getting vision. And then you ascend. You actually go higher in your thought. And as you ascend, you actually um, uh, go to a place of authority. And once you reach a certain level, you're waking up to a new level. I believe we will consistently, for the rest of eternity, we will be waking up to new realities, new realities, new realities, new realities. Um,
I agree, definitely.
it's not just this
From
complacent comfort
yeah.
where I sit on a stoop, and
From
that's
strength to strength. Yeah.
that's so. But
The Hexacron.
yeah, that's basic.
Yeah.
The hexagon. Okay. The hexachron's not got to do with the LDP, but all the different frameworks. The hexachron, the LDP is 12 domains of your life. That darkness really wants to come and penetrate and get into that domain. And once it gets and eats away at the segments of that domain, and it's eaten that whole domain away, you actually lose authority.
Yep.
So when darkness is in the center of a domain, I don't know if I have a LDP
So
domain, yeah.
LDP, just to explain again for guys that not being in the challenge, it's the life domain position. Am I correct, John? On that?
That's right. Life
Yeah.
domain position, life domain principles.
Yes.
Your life domain should be governed by principle. These are the domains of self-image, expert knowledge, relationship, finance, career. There are 12 domains that we identified.
Again,
so that's
to maybe get into the origins of stuff, but there's loads of self-help and valuable content out there the reason, or can I ask you this, why you chose principles instead of something like values or steps to follow, or most of the counter, let's say, counteracting of getting this darkness out of your life is to engage in certain principles. And like you've explained, if you engage in them correctly, they elevate. But if you engage in them incorrectly or violate them, you suffer the consequences of their principles. But why principles for you personally? What is it? Just because it's ever change? It's not. It's never changing. It's like energy. It can't be destroyed. It can't be. It's, yeah. It's timeless.
It's timeless. You cannot change. You cannot change a timeless, guaranteed, immutable principle. You cannot vote about the principle.
Yeah.
We can bring together a parliament or the Senate, and we can agree that the law of friction will not work from tomorrow. We can pass legislation. We can pass policy. We can pass a policy and everybody vote about it and we put it into our constitution. It doesn't, because we passed it into our constitution and no person is walking around using friction nowhere. They're not allowed to do it because it doesn't work. That is, everybody who follows that thing is correct. They're just correct.
Oh, yes.
Because I'm being correct to the man-made law. But there are invisible laws of the invisible world that's all around us. The invisible world, the realm, and I call it the kingdom, is more real than the physical world.
Yeah.
And it's governed by principles. These principles are really laws. It's irrevocable, it's timeless, it's guaranteed. It's all around us. And the invisible world is governed by principles. It's from the invisible world that I just now got this friction from. Because on a deep molecular level, there were friction of certain molecules coming together, and as they rub against each other. I don't want to go into the details of this, but we decide to operate by principle. Values and principles very close to each other, but values differ from person to person.
Yes, and you can choose your values, but principles. Yeah. No, sorry. Your values will come from the principles you engage in, and the.
There are a lot of values that's unlocked by principles.
Yep.
Because value is something that you carry that has worth. That has worth.
Yes.
You can have life-depraving values. There are people that have life-depraving values.
Yeah. So this will also
they won't think twice. Value is my value. I'm going to go rob that person. I have no value and no regard for life. It's actually they're driven by a principle, and it's ignorant of the consequences of. And here's the thing: is that people don't understand that there's consequences. Every principle bears a consequence. I mean, a principle is really very much a law. It's an established law, unseen law that your inner world interact with. Think about a red light. You can skip a green light, go over a red light. You can do it maybe 2 or 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
But there's once that you do it, and the consequence of violating that can cost you your life.
Yes.
There's a lot of people that have lost their life, that have destroyed their life because of the violation of principle. Now, what happens when you engage in the ABCDE? You actually violating the principle of responsibility and the principle of being truthful, of being raw and brutal honesty. Because people don't like to be honest with themselves. They'd rather avoid it. I'd rather live in denial. And so, we actually active principles with the ABCDEs, the way that we work with the ABCD.
Yeah. I heard this saying this morning. Just as the Statue of Liberty stands in the US, we need to set up or erect a new statue of responsibility in our own lives. That would be cool.
Fantastic.
Yes.
The statue is it's actually a high place, because if you just see the Statue of Liberty, it's visual and tells you. I've seen teams turned around by that principle. I've seen marriages being saved.
Yep.
So we have 24 principles, actually 12. There's 24 principles that we use in the Superior Academy, which everything is built around. And our main focus is to help you in a practical way to interact with those principles so that you can experience the benefits of that principle, because the principle will give you the benefits of that principle. I can use the benefits of friction to create energy. I can use the benefits of the law of electricity to generate heat or produce, build something, and I use electricity with, build a hairdryer or whatever.
Yeah.
But you use that, principles produces certain power. And that's part of the whole hexacron. It's a whole framework of how everything comes together, but we take people through a certain systematic process. Well, the superhero challenge, it used to be called the 30-day challenge, is really to take people and elevate them. And
Yep.
I mean, we've just seen some ridiculous results in people's lives that have done it. And it works because it's based on principle.
Yep.
And practical. It's not head knowledge. It's not a knowledge dump. It's not what it is.
Okay, so the hexacron you were going to show us how it looks a bit, and we can dissect the hexacron. And
what I think is, I'm going to show it to you, but in the next session we will go deeper into the hexacron.
Okay, cool.
The hexacron. Let me just take it here. So the hexacron, if I just move it a little bit there, and so in front of my face, we just stand up here and just move it up. Is that all right?
Yeah, looks cool. It's good.
So the hexacron is what you see in the middle, and what you see there is 6 components, and those 6 components is made up of what we call a hexagon, which is the strongest structure that you find in nature. The honeycomb structure is one of the strongest structures. And those 6 components come together, and they are the following. They are gifting. So let me just, where is that one? This one, it's gifting. And then it moves over to potential. So this one here with this little seed there, that's gifting. And then purpose is the next part of your hexacron. This is the one with a goal here. And then we have passion. That's the next component. And the next component here is performance. And then the great one, which is so important, is character. So it's character, potential, purpose, passion, and performance. And these are all modules, and they all align with each other because there's purpose and passion alignment. There's passion and gift alignment. There's gift and character alignment. There is character and performance alignment. There's an alignment between all these. And once there's an alignment, it unlocks the last component. And this is this bottom part here. It is called flow. It's this part here that called flow.
Sort of activates when all the other components get together.
It activates flow, and once it activates, it really releases your superhero abilities. Now, super is what you are carrying, its abilities, and hero is got to do with character. And so that's basically in a very short nutshell. And we will dive into the hexacron and how does this, in a practical way, apply to your life and all the what and whys behind it, and really go into it. This thing that's in your heart. It's just a framework, and that thing is connected to your life domains, has an effect upon it.
Yes. Awesome. So guys, be on the lookout for our next Origin session, specifically on the hexacron and how this impacts your life, how you can achieve full flow in life by activating each of those components in your own domains and really discovering it. But if you do not want to wait till the next session, be sure to check out the Superhero Challenge. Like we said, we relaunched in this week, and it's on a very special price. We've discounted immensely so that as much as people can discover their gifting, discover their flow, their unique abilities, develop their character, and really extract all the gifts inside each and every one out there. So the links are in the description. Coach John, so thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you guys on the next Superhero Chronicle and Origin Stories. And like always, guys, it's time to hero up.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Andre.